Welcome to the No Limit Selling Podcast, where industry leaders share their advice on how you can become better, stronger, faster. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the No Limit Selling Podcast. Today, I'm so happy to have Kim Napolitano. Help me pronounce it, Kim.
Napolitano,
In my head,
very good. And you have to say it with your hands.
There you go. That's what was missing. It's like, they say some of the best public speakers in the world, it's your body language and how you speak with your hands really communicates so much of what we want to do. And we think words are so important. And so for you being a sales professional, oftentimes people are so concerned about these are the steps of the sales process that they leave the human being behind. So why don't we kick off there? How important is being fully present to the sales process?
Umar, it's critical. And it's funny when you talk about, speakers and they use their hands. I took a training, a 2-day course. It was incredible. And they talked about the bigger the stage, the bigger the hand expressions, and to keep your
gestures,
hands open. Yeah. So, yes, but it's easy to lose sight of how is it that we want to best show up. And if we speak with our hands, speak with your hands, embrace it, just embrace who you are, because that sense of authenticity needs to shine through in how you're communicating and who you are and how you show up. Because I'm telling you, the audience, well, in a second, they'll see it. They're like, this person's not comfortable. This is not who they are, or there's something off. They'll just know intuitively something is not right.
What's kind of interesting is if I'm not sure if you've had this experience talking to someone and they can't think of a word they want to use, but just with a hand gesture, oh, you wanted to unwrap it? Like we just do that so naturally. And just when you say the right word and you're doing the right gesture, it just goes in at a much deeper level.
Completely agree. And that's the beauty of storytelling, right? The unfolding of it. And how do you, to your point, do you use your words and gestures to make a more meaningful story, a much more meaningful conversation?
Absolutely. So when did you start with Hilton and what was your first job there?
I started with Hilton more than 30 years ago, and I started at the front desk. So I was your friendly guest service agent, welcoming you to the Hilton McLean in Tyson's Corner. And I loved it. I loved every component of it. I felt like I was the ambassador at the hotel, whether it was the morning shift or the evening shift. I even worked night audit for a bit of time. So my journey with Hilton starts in operations, and what I felt was the hostess with the mostest, greeting you warmly and wishing you a fond farewell at the door. Brilliant.
So what skills, insights did you pick up on that front level customer facing position that you still use today as an executive at Hilton?
Learning how to read people, body signals. What are those body signs that we're getting? And understanding that no matter what my day may have been or is in this moment in time, I don't understand what the person who I'm dealing with, what they had to deal with to get to me right at that moment in time. And I liken it to when, it's a busy night, we have a lot of check-ins, maybe we had some late checkouts, and just, you have to put yourself in the traveler's mindset. From leaving their house to going to the airport or getting in their car, driving a distance, getting to the hotel. What was that? And what did they experience along the way? So fast forward about 3 decades later, as I'm working with my team members and working with our customers alike, it's understanding, well, what are they dealing with? It's not just Kim, employee number 5551212. It's Kim Napolitano, who is an employee of Hilton and serves this role within the company. And oh, by the way, is married to her college sweetheart and does have 3 young adult children who are mostly out of the nest and may have some aging parents. So what is it that person is going through? Who is that person in totality? And I find as a leader that when I can get whatever chatter is going on in my team members in the back of their minds, pull that up to the front end of any coaching call or any conversation we're having. Let's just get that up front, address it, honor it, acknowledge it. If it needs, Umar, some sort of resources that Hilton has access to, get them information to the resources. And then at that point in time, that noise, it lessens. right? It just goes down. And now we're able to lean into, okay, let's talk about business, Kim, or, the team member who's in front of me, to lean into the conversation of what it is we need to achieve in that moment in time.
So address what needs addressing right after, otherwise it's a distraction for everybody. So how important is mindset to helping your salespeople achieve their potential?
Yeah, it's interesting because oftentimes, and everyone in sales, we get these big goals and you're like, oh my goodness, how am I going to achieve it? And my theory is your coaches, your leaders, if you don't believe enough in yourself to achieve the number, you need to lean into your coach. You need to lean into your leader, because great coaches, great leaders have the belief that their team members are going to be successful. They've hired the right people, the most talented people. They're giving all of the tools and the resources, or they're doing their best to clear obstacles to help clear the runway to be successful in sales. So just lean in us, your leader, in the belief. And then it's amazing when people start doing that, and then they start achieving things that they never thought possible. I was just talking to a dear friend about that the other day. So the thing that brings me some of the greatest joy is when team members achieve things they never felt possible. But because I said, oh, no, you can do it, and leaned in, and we talked ways to get there, and they worked hard, and they owned their success through the process. So it just helped build their confidence. And if there's any imposter syndrome going on, it kind of removed that and allowed them to say, no, I really am this good, and I really do have the talent, and look at what I did through the support of team.
I did this charity event where it was like rappelling down a building. And everything was brilliant till I got to the edge of the building and looked down 28 stories. And it was like, oh my God. And then I realized the people that were harnessing me up, I don't know them and I don't trust them. But the director of the Kidney Foundation, I trust her. And I leveraged her trust in this situation. And that allowed me to move forward. And I think that's one of the what leaders have to realize, is that you lend your confidence in your charges. It allows them to go on a journey that they wouldn't have taken by themselves. And then they realize they're not an imposter and they can accomplish more than they ever thought possible. So how do you, because some salespeople probably go, Kim's got my back, I'm going for it. And other people need probably some convincing. So how do you let them know that you got their back and let them leverage your confidence in them to move forward?
Yeah. I loved your analogy, because as you are doing the rappelling, you have people on belay, and it makes you realize that there is a team. Nothing is achieved without the team. And from a leadership standpoint, I take a step back and recognize I have hired subject matter experts in the field that they were hired in. And I'm going to lean into their skill set, their knowledge, the wisdom they bring forth, and allow them to do what they were hired to do best. So if I get in the minutia and too much in their day-to-day working environment, I don't believe, Umar, that really fosters any sort of confidence that they are doing their job effectively and efficiently. It demonstrates potentially a lack of trust. So I'm not a fan of micromanagement. Sometimes I may be a little too macro management, but at the end of the day, I want to be able to see them, as we say internally, rise, thrive, and soar. And I'm there to help them, and I'm there to assist them. But at the end of the day, they're standing on their own laurels, their own success. I think any solid leader is going to say the best reward for them is to see people who have been under their tutelage, under their mentorship and guidance, to see them elevate and rise above them. There's a great book called The $1 Trillion Coach, if you've not read it. And it's so profound, and it's about this incredible human being in the Silicon industry valley area, all the tech firms. And this gentleman was such a good mentor, such a good leader, such a great coach, and how he has helped icons of the tech industry really grow their companies, organizations to next level, and how they took their leadership to the next level, all in his approach, which is, I'm the human being in the role of the title of X. I don't really deserve, as the individual, maybe the china, right, and the silver. It's the position that has earned that. So understanding that we are human beings doing the best we can to serve, but recognizing the ego, there's not a lot of space for the ego. And so how do you, again, bring it down to who are you as a human being? It's a great book. I highly recommend it.
I'm going to actually put it on my reading list as soon as we finish the podcast, because at the end of the day, ego is the enemy. And I think great leaders, the book by Jim Collins,
Good to Great.
Good to Great. And it was very much about leaders that it was more about the team than them and how do we succeed. So you've led people, Kim, and I want you to think of someone specific when I ask this question, but don't name names.
Okay.
Somebody that had reached a plateau, but you could see that they could go way beyond that, and how you recognize they had reached a plateau and recognize their potential, and how you got them to bridge the gap. Because, that's what a lot of leaders struggle with is, how do we help people reach their potential?
So someone comes to mind. This individual was incredibly successful with the what, which was driving the numbers. There was an opportunity to double down and support growth in the how.
Yes.
And I think a lot of leaders are like, oh, goodness, whew, they made their numbers. I don't need to do any other coaching than just make your numbers. And I challenge all leaders to take a step back and say, imagine how much better you would be as a leader if someone pulled you aside when you felt you were doing so great and said, you did great. And there's this opportunity to enhance it even more. Because I believe that your A-type personalities, your top tier performers, they want coaching. They want honest to goodness coaching. They love the praise, but don't give the platitudes. They want to know, how can I continue to evolve? And I think of Tom Brady. Not only did he have a coach on the field, but he had his own coach outside of the coach. He had his own nutritionist and all of these other people behind him. So our top performers are literally looking for that feedback. And so I had an individual that we had to have this conversation. Was it uncomfortable? Yes, very uncomfortable. However, I recognized the beauty of this human and what this individual contributed and the potential this person had. So we agreed to do some additional things outside coaching to support and for growth and development. And how this individual has grown has, again, it's one of those moments as a leader where you hold your hand on your heart and you're just like, thank God I work for an organization that allows me to support my team members this way. And I'm working for an organization that sees the value of heart-centered leadership to make this person come up in a way that now it's a more inclusive approach. And this person is just, the growth is exponential and where they were before to where they are today. And this is in the course of maybe 6-8 months of work.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I know they're showing up happier on top of it. And the benefit is the people around who they are engaging with have seen a beautiful transformation, and they are so excited to celebrate it, recognize it, and again, just continue to support what they are seeing as the best way to move about how to get to the final numbers, not just what the final numbers were.
Beautiful. And I think that also allows them to step into higher positions. And when they do, they'll have the skill set to guide the next crop of people kind of coming up in the organizations, which is a beautiful thing. It's like there's a concept that companies have. It's called having a rabbi in the organization, somebody that's higher up that basically picks one or two people that they shepherd through the organization and grow them into leaders. Who is your rabbi at Hilton?
I have a few. I've been very blessed along the way, and Frank Pezzanante is one of mine, and he's been very good to me in my career growth. My current leader, Geraldine Horan, has also been very amazing. And when there's been opportunities for me to grow and evolve, I give them credit because they've said, hey, we see an opportunity. Let's move some of your team over here and let's give you industry relations. And didn't think I was going to take that on, but I was like, okay. And they've allowed me to thrive in that space in addition to my current responsibilities. But I've had several throughout my 30-year career. It started with the general manager at the McLean Hilton and just continued to evolve and grow. And as I like to say, the reward for good work is more good work. But I think when you go in with a learner's mindset, people love the curiosity because they see you want to grow. And so they want to continue to foster that desire to grow and evolve.
And I think the people that did that for you are probably ecstatic when you're doing it for other people below you, and they can see them blossoming. And it just starts a really nice culture in the organization of learning and growing and supporting.
Yeah, well, and it's leaving their legacy, right? Because we're all going to be leaving some sort of a legacy behind. And I'm fortunate to work in a company where there are team members who have been with us for many years, decades. And so the question is, when you leave, what is your legacy? And to me, the best gift we can give anyone is lifting up the future generation, lifting up tomorrow's leaders today. How do we grow them and build them to continue to have this beautiful company and culture continue to evolve in a way that has meaning to our hotel owners, meaning to our guests, and meaning to our team members?
So as you think about your earlier days and the bosses you've had, and as you've grown as an executive and a human, what are 5 things that a sales leader should keep in mind to kind of help their charges grow and be more successful?
Well, 3 things come to mind, and this is from Patrick Lencioni's book, The Ideal Team Player. This is a must read for any leader, regardless of how long you've been in a leadership role. They need to be humble. They need to be able to cross-collaborate and understand that they may not know everything, and that's okay. You want to surround yourself with subject matter experts.
Right.
Hungry. And I liken this also to team members. Are you a self-motivator? What gets you? We're all going to deal with things through the course of the day or the week or even the year.
Right.
But what is it that motivates you to continue to move forward, to continue to strive for excellence, or just show up better than you did the day before? And then there's smart. So I'm not talking just intellectual smart. I mean, that's great. We want people with high IQs. That's beautiful. We also need people with high EQs, that emotional intelligence. So I liken it to this, Umar. You've got your IQ here in the brain, and you've got your EQ in your heart. Like, this to me is the learned consciousness.
Yes.
And this is where the earned consciousness sits. So to me, it's about the balance of the 2 levels operating between heart and mind, and where, the 2 have got to come together to help motivate and really inspire your team to continue to lean into the culture, and then strategies to strengthen the culture.
So I'll add one more area. It turns out we've got 86 billion neurons in our brain that allow us to strategy, process, do amazing things, and language. We've got 40,000 neurons around our heart, and we've got almost 100 billion in our endocrine system, our gut.
Yeah.
And people don't use language accidentally. And sometimes people say, my heart tells me. It's not a figure of speech. I think that's literally going on. And I think having those 3 areas to check in is such a gift. And oftentimes what I look for is alignment. It's like, I want to do this thing, and my heart's aligned with it, my head's aligned with it, but my gut is not quite sure. And then I basically put my hand on my gut and go, what are you thinking? And it says, I'm not sure they're going to follow through on that contract. So what do you suggest I do? And your gut will tell you, just put this little clause in there. It'll make me feel better. And so it sounds a bit tree huggy, but I found it to be really, really effective. And it gives you perspective, because I think that's another thing leaders need is perspective on what's going on. And just checking with a head, heart, gut gives you oftentimes 3 different perspectives on the situation that allow you to make better decisions.
Well, Umar, you're talking to a friend. I love the woo-woo. So when you're talking about listening to head, heart, and gut, do that. I think everyone needs to do that. We've dismissed our intuition significantly to where a lot of people just don't even have it. But we call it the spidey sense. Something like something just doesn't feel right. Then pause in that moment in time. Give yourself that opportunity to breathe and just be and see what it might be.
Yeah. And on the positive side too, it's like Kim. I'm not sure what it is about Kim, but I like her. And then even if you don't know why, then it's like, go with that initial gut. And that gut thing could be positive, or it could be Danger Will Robinson. And so listen to it. And I think that's the gift that we have.
It's interesting. Have you, Umar? I have a friend, Megan Miller. She's fabulous. She's got her own podcast. She's doing great things about talking about intention to attention.
Oh, I love it.
And we were talking about the fact that when you feel the need to introduce, like, I just feel the need to connect you to this person. And some of the best relationships have come. So I encourage anyone listening to this podcast that if you've been, driving along and it all of a sudden hits you, hey, I got to connect Bob to Susan. There's something, I don't know why, but I feel the need, do it, because you never know what's causing you to do that. And there could be something greater down the road for that relationship from a work level or personal level. Like, just lean into it.
And have you ever met someone where it's like, this meeting was meant to happen?
Oh, yeah.
You're not sure why. And the meeting could have been like a 2-minute interaction at a coffee shop or a lifelong relationship that starts. But sometimes I get that, not often, but sometimes like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm here to serve you or you're here to serve me, but it's important and I'm going to pay full attention to this connection.
Yeah. And the more you do that, then the more there are opportunities that are presented to yourself for other doors for you to continue to grow and evolve in some way, shape, or form. So to me, again, loving the woo-woo, it's the universe is just giving you an opportunity to continue to say yes on your higher purpose. And the minute you say no, then there may be a redirect to something else.
So Kim, I would imagine that Kim from 5 years ago is quote unquote sucked compared to the amazing Kim that we have now. We're always learning and always improving. So what are you learning right now to so that Kim in 5 years, that amazing creature that's going to develop? So what are you working on right now to allow that new amazing Kim to emerge?
I am continuing to lean into the topic of heart-centered leadership and conscious leadership. What does this really mean? And how do we bring it forth? Umar, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it says right there, boldly, proudly, and unapologetically, building tomorrow's leaders today. And I feel like I'm on this mission to call out to today's leaders, as well as inspire tomorrow's future leaders about what can an incredible leadership experience look like? What can an incredible career in leading people look like? Regardless of industry, it can be done. And how do you leave a lasting legacy that you can reflect on and say, you know what? I did a good job. Yeah. I hold my head with pride knowing I did a good job in helping people be the best versions of themselves and evolve into a state where they probably didn't think it was possible.
So I do this workshop. So I do like business ones and mindset ones, but this one particular one of the exercises is Kim and I sit down together very intimately. And if you give me permission, I can put my hand on your chest over here and you do that to mine.
Yeah.
And I give the instruction of you're person A, I'm person B. And I give the people the instructions, just sit together and breathe together. The chest rising and falling. And then for 5 minutes. And then Kim thinks of something important that happened for her or to her for 2 minutes. And the B person is just being with the person. And then at the end of that exercise, I ask all the B's in the room, tell the A's what they were thinking about. And someone will say, were you thinking about a car accident? And the person says, oh my God, how do you know? Because there's so much information that we transmit outside of words. And it's just a great way to teach people that that woo-woo stuff, that heart-centric stuff is so critical to be a great human being and a great leader, because it guides you and it lets you pick up information that otherwise you would have no idea it was going on.
And if you think about it, Umar, we are 99.98% energy.
Yes.
And our body is 0.02% mass. So by doing that exercise, and I would even venture to guess, you could just have them just sit with their hands on their laps, just looking at each other.
Oh, absolutely.
And go through the same process. And because it's interesting, they've done all these studies about energetic work and how it impacts. And as you continue to elevate yourself from just a growth standpoint, spiritual standpoint, you're impacting the lives of 75,000 other beautiful human beings around the world. And I know we don't talk about that a lot, but when you're able to continue to grow and evolve, you really are impacting people around you for the right reasons.
Absolutely. And before we part company, I'll share one other kind of experiment that was just blows my mind is they have someone looking at a TV, a monitor that's showing images.
Mhm.
It's like flowers,
Yeah.
puppies, rainbows. And then they show them something horrific, like a car accident.
Mhm.
And what's interesting is they've got EEG connections hooked up to their body,
Mhm.
and their body reacts before they see the negative picture,
I
like
noticed.
precognition. And it's like, whoa, there's more to us than this. But so brilliant. Kim, what is, you've already given 2 book recommendations. What's the one piece of advice you would give to sales leaders in order to have them be more effective?
Mm. Umar, there are a couple of things. Continue to be a life learner.
Yes.
Read, listen to great podcasts like this one, get perspectives from different people, and come from the perspective of, I don't know everything. So let me learn as much as I can, whether it's from direct reports or people two rungs down the line, whatever that looks like. Be a learner and ask what questions. Share with me what more we could do.
Yeah.
What about this is working? What about this is not working? What can I do to help facilitate your best? Like, think about questions that are open-ended that will help draw the wisdom and the knowledge from the people you're speaking with. I think out of all of it, it's just being open. Like, just try not to go in with a fixed mindset. You want to go in with a growth mindset.
Absolutely. And I'll give one last piece of advice on piggybacking on what you said is when somebody does something, never ask the question, why did you do that? Because it automatically sets up this barrier. Oh, how did you decide to do that? Because a lot of people will stop and go, how did I decide? And it gives you their thought process and it allows you to be a better coach. Kim, I really enjoyed our conversation today. It was short and sweet, but we're going to do this again because I think there's a ton of areas we can go to help our industry, sales, be better, stronger, faster.
Oh, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of the conversation.
Hold on. I'm going to exit the show and then we'll chat for a few minutes. If you enjoyed this episode, please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. And if you're looking for more tools, go to my website at nolimitselling.com. I've got a free mind training course there that's going to teach you some insights from the world of neuro-linguistic programming, and that is the fastest way to get better results.